What is up, everybody? It is Friday, April 25th. And we are back 2 weeks in a row, back for the Ghost Files Live. Welcome. I'm your host, Vincent DiSanti. Let me get my little blurb right up there. That looks fun. And yeah, so we're going to have quite the show tonight. It has been an eventful week this week in the world of horror and films. And we'll dive into all of those things pretty soon. But before I do that, I just want to remind everybody, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. I'll be here almost every week talking about horror movies, some of the projects we're doing here at Wompstomp Films, and of course the projects here that we have and whatever else is going on in the horror world that you guys feel like talking about. We're going to be here and hanging out and talking about it. So before I go any further, let's hop into the comments, see who is already in the chat tonight. I know it's already popping off. I have a new member tonight. Hank Merlin Studios becomes a YouTube member. Thank you, Hank Merlin Studios. Hank Merlin Studios actually, I almost wore my Jason Rising shirt tonight, but our friends at Hank Merlin Studios were very helpful in the Jason Rising project. So thank you for joining us. Like every week, Lamontre Gillard is here. Gregory, Doc and Rocker 72, Peck is in the house. What's up, Greg? Got his missing person poster last week. Fabio's back. What's up, everybody? James Sweet speaking of Jason Rising. I mean, I really should wear my Jason Rising shirt this week. James Sweet is in the chat. Alley Girl's here this week. Happy Ghost Files Friday, y'all. Hope everyone had a good week. Steve DMV is back. Dr. Bruce Johnson in the house. Did somebody call a doctor? Let's see what else is going on. Oh, Steve, what happened to Steve? I missed that. Hey, everyone, this has been a terrible and sad day. Yes, we'll get to some of that stuff in a little bit. Let's see who else is here. Melanie's in the chat. What's up, Melanie? Harms Yaru. Sorry if I butchered that. Casey, Dwayne Alexander. That's great. I'm glad to see Casey. Casey actually has some big news pretty soon. I was going to talk about that this week, but I haven't had a chance to get back to your email, which I did get. Just been running around getting this ready. But I think next week we'll talk more about that project and other things that are going on. This week we're going to focus on some other things going there. Look at Nick already pushing the Patriots into my view, reminding me of all the stuff they're doing, drafting a tackle, and now they got a running back. Yeah, so we'll see how the Pats do for the rest of this draft. But I'm just sort of checked out. The draft is always just sort of like nothing gets really accomplished. You don't know until the season starts. But I guess we'll see. I wish I was kind of hoping for Ashton Genty in the first round, somebody who scores touchdowns, but how's that going to go? Max Parker is also in the chat tonight. Resolute Blood is in the chat tonight. What's up? How you guys doing? So good. You guys know how it works. If you just drop it in now, or anybody else can be dropping it in. If you want to ask a question anytime throughout the podcast, do drop a super chat. I do highly encourage that. Those pop right up to the top. I see them right away. Other questions may get lost along the way. I'm also going to be dealing with sort of a slideshow type thing like I do. Oh, Blu-rays landed. Love it. Yeah, Blu-rays are out. I mean, I guess I can get started quickly before I dive into the rest of the things this week. Always a quick update on Indiegogo Blu-rays. We have more going out this week. I dropped off a ton of boxes this week. So just, continuing the roll. We're moving into camper packs and camp collector bundles. So everybody who got the 4 Blu-rays and everybody who got like a t-shirt, a poster, 2 pins, and a Blu-ray, we're working on those orders now and working our way through. It's a little bit slower of a process because the packages take longer to pack, but they are going out and it will be pretty good. Casey, we get 3 Friday the 13th next year, February, March, and November. A lot of opportunities. Yes, this is very true. We're obviously always aware of, the Friday the 13th that are coming up. I remember Friday the 13th happening 3 times in the year, many years ago. And it was one of the things that kind of catapulted us in a Never Hike Alone. I remember that was a big thing. I was going to do something for every Friday the 13th. And that ended up, doing that. Steve thinks the Commanders are going to the Super Bowl next year. Maybe. Jaden Daniels is pretty good. He got all 3, the red, black, and blue Blu-rays. That's amazing. Always good to see when those things get out and land. But that's the most rewarding part of this, is after all this hard work is making sure these Blu-rays land in the hands of our backers and that you guys enjoy them. And of course, we're moving on. Like if you guys watched last week, we have the box cut. We have the box cut coming out. Well, we have the final cut coming out along with the box set. More information on that in another week or two. Hopefully launching that mid-May with some, we'll get that going along with Ghost in the Fog, and lots of other things. So with all that said, I should start jumping into some of the things. Let me take a quick little sip. A few weeks ago, I did say that I think my brother gave me this cup, but this actually came from James Sweet. He gave me this in Colorado, and I completely forgot. So this one's for you, James. Drinking a little everyday dose tonight. No caffeine, just something to keep me a little awake. Hey, Tyler Adams is in the chat tonight. What's up, buddy? So here, let's dive into some stuff. I'm gonna change some things around. Boop, your comments are gonna go away for a little bit, so I'm not gonna see them. But I believe if you do a super chat, I will see it. It will pop through. So let's go to the first thing that I want to get to. It's a little promotional stuff because this weekend at the Seaport Inn in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, it's MonstahXpo Halfway to Halloween Resurrection in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, April 26th and 27th at the Seaport Inn. There is the address right there, 110 Middle Street, Fairhaven. That QR code is to get you tickets for this weekend. You can get the VI pass to come all weekend and hang out with everybody. Saturday it's 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Although if you're a VIP, Saturday opens at 10 a.m. I will obviously be a guest there. You guys are gonna have to excuse me this week. It has been a long week for me. We can get into that a little bit later. I don't want to get too personal, but it's just been a long week. A lot of distractions and getting a lot of things done. So my brain's probably going to be all over the place tonight. But anyway, I am a guest there, or a sort of. I have a table right near the guests, and I am a guest, but I wanted more table space. But your actual guests are Never Hike Alone and Friday the 13th alumni Tom Matthews. Of course, it's the 40th anniversary of Return of the Living Dead. So him and Linnea Quigley, who will also be there, have been touring around the country. CJ Graham from Friday the 13th Part 6 and Hellcop will be there. And Eugene Clark from Land of the Dead and Alfred Hitchcock and Twilight Zone and a lot of other great films will also be there. So 4 great guests. I actually set up my booth today. I was down there this afternoon getting ready. It's a really nice spot, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So if you're in Southern Massachusetts, come on down, get out of the rain, hang out with some horror legends, pick up some cool stuff. We'll have some merch there. And of course I'll be signing autographs and all that stuff. I'm much cheaper than everybody else. So, come on by and get yourself a $20 autograph. Remember when they used to cost that much? And we'll go from there. So definitely check that out. That QR code will get you tickets. And I hope anybody who can make it does make it. We'll go from there. So let's see, where shall we start this week? Well, I think we should probably start with the most important thing, which was shocking news this week, as we heard that Lar Park Lincoln sadly passed away on April 22nd earlier this week. It was announced via her Facebook page or through her actor's studio about her passing away. In fact, I have the official thing right here, and I'll give it a quick read. Beloved film and television star and audition coach, Lar Park Lincoln passes at 63. It is with profound sadness that we announce the passing of Lar Park Lincoln, celebrated actress, founder of Actors Audition Studios, and America's beloved audition coach, on April 22nd, 2025. Over a 45-year career left an unforgettable mark on Hollywood throughout her dynamic performances and dedication to mentoring aspiring actors. A Dallas-based entrepreneur, Lar founded Actors Audition Studios and authored Get Started, Not Scammed. Her television legacy includes her iconic 5-year role as dual characters on Knots Landing along Michael Lee and William Devane, and her powerful lead performance in Children of the Night opposite Kathleen Quinlan and Mario Van Peebles. She also guest starred alongside legends Michael Landon, Angela Lansbury, and Christina Applegate. Lar earned a Bronze Halo Award for her continuations in entertainment and is best remembered for her telekinetic scream queen, Tina Shepard, in Friday the 13th, Part 7. She is preceded in death by her beloved husband, Michael, to whom she was married to for 14 years, her parents, Jack and Marjorie Dale, and her brothers, Jack Jr. and Pat. She is survived by her daughter, Piper, by husband, Tarek, son, Trevor, whose wife, Danielle, sister Karen, husband Harold, brother Michael, and 4 grandchildren, a poodle named Charlie, countless friends, extended family, and admirers worldwide. The family requests during privacy during this time, and is grateful for the outpouring of love over Lars' 4-year decade. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation of the Entertainment Community Fund. For more information about the celebration of life, contact the family at celebrate@larparklincoln.com. Lars' book, Get Started, Not Scammed, is available for purchase on Amazon. So yeah, this is obviously a huge blow to the world of Friday the 13th. I believe this is, if I'm not wrong, the first final girl to pass away through the entire series, which is a very, sad thing to note. Obviously, Friday the 13th, The New Blood was a huge, is a huge impact on Friday the 13th. The John Carl Buechler directed film, the first film that involved Kane Hodder. It's the first film that involved telekinesis and sort of expanding the world of Friday the 13th. And Lar came on, and for what she was given and what she did a fantastic performance over the years. She maintained a very close relationship with fans, as pretty well known. And I just sort of kind of put some things together, her character, as seen here, just some of like the iconic moments and the screen presence that she brought to the character. And it's, and if you really think about it, it is sort of a silly premise, but Lar was able to pull it off. I mean, she made it believable enough. It's not my favorite Friday the 13th film, but it's definitely one that you can't forget. And it's definitely one of the most beloved Fridays. And she is definitely one of the most beloved Friday girls. So it's very sad for all of us, who are fans, and those who got to act with her. For those of you who have seen 13 Fanboy, she is in 13 Fanboy. She has a few pretty key scenes. I got to share a couple of scenes with Lar. I got to act with Lar, which was really interesting. So I actually have like a Lar story. We were shooting 13 Fanboy. I believe this was during the first round of shooting. This was, I can't remember if this was before or after COVID. I think it might have been after COVID, but we did a first round in Ruidoso, and we were shooting at a basement at an art studio where I had my character, the Fanboy, had Lara locked up. I had kidnapped her from my own movie somehow. I'm not sure why yet, but Lar was completely sweet throughout this entire process because my character does not treat her very well. In the first scene I had to act with Lar, she was going to stab me with a metal spike. And just so happens this wasn't a prop metal spike. It was a real metal spike. And Lar came up to me and she's like, "Honey, I'm so sorry, but I wear glasses. And so when I'm in that room and I have that spike, I can't see anything." And now I'm in the Fanboy mask with a hood, and I got these two little eye holes that I look out of. And I just said, "Lar, you just swing at me and I'll catch it." And it worked every time. Every take, I was able to catch her wrist. We had no accidents, and no accidents for her either. I mean, there was a little bit of, rough housing. We had to kind of move around and move in that space. And she was a complete sweetheart throughout the entire process. I bumped into her again a few years later at a Days of the Dead convention. We had a nice little chat, got to sit down and just kind of catch up for a little bit, see what she was doing and all that stuff. So, really is sad to see you go. I'm, grateful for the fact that I did get to work with her and, did get to meet her. And yeah, I just feel bad for her family, and, feel bad to hear this. From what I understand, she has spent, many years battling cancer. That was something that was kind of set out there. I don't know if that was the cause of death. Nothing was, officially released yet. But yeah, no, this is a sad impact on the Friday the 13th world. I don't, I think I saw Brian Fuller texting about it today. I saw a bunch of the alumni texting about it today. Tom McLaughlin, I just saw his post. He directed Lar in an episode of Freddy's Nightmares. So it's cool. She got, crossing over into all those worlds. But, like I said, with everything, with Friday the 13th, if there is a silver lining, it's that, Lar is a member of this community that is carried on by, passionate fans who are always going to remember, just like we've lost the other alumni in the past, the Richard Brookers, the Ted Whites, the Betsy Palmers. And, they're all forever remembered. And it's, I keep saying it. It's like Vinny Guastafaro was, brought it the best. He's like, "I've done 92 movies and all these stage plays, but the only thing anybody ever remembers me from is Friday the 13th Part 6, where I played a supporting role." It just goes to show you how much we love these characters and love this series. So, Yeah, it's just sort of, I know that this is hitting fans pretty hard. I think what I'll do now is I'm gonna pull up this one. I like this, or let's do this one. This one's pretty nice. Pull up some comments, see what everybody's saying. You got Tony. Thanks, Tony. No, she looked great, even to her final days. Yeah, you got, that's not killing. Let me see. She was a year older than my mom when she passed away. Yeah. It's tough. It's cancer sucks. My sister survived it, but lost 2 grandparents to it. Yep, I've lost some family members to cancer as well. Let's skip that one. Loved her in 13 fanboy. 13 fanboy love. 13 fanboy love. Thank you guys. Let me see. Here we go. Martina's got a good one. I have a real soft spot for part 7. Tina was able to go toe-to-toe with Jason. Everything my siblings and I would cheer every time her character hits Jason with a potted plant in the head. That's very funny. That is right. I mean, she is one of the first, and she's equipped to do it. She can actually use her telekinetic powers to go after Jason, and he just keeps getting up and coming after her, which makes it, that was the real cool appeal at the end, at the film. I mean, really, if that film has just a little bit of a better ending, it kind of saves itself. And if it wasn't cut, completely to death. Rest in peace, Laura. Another one gone way too soon. Ethan's been writing a fanfic Friday the 13th series that has a Tina play a supportive role. Now we have to find our new Tina. But in the meantime, like I said, this is just really sad for everybody. I feel bad for everyone. Who's looking forward to seeing her and up and coming. I don't know if she had any events coming up or if she had any work coming up, but I know that everyone on the 13 fanboy has sort of been texting each other. The 13 fanboy family has texted each other a little bit and just kind of shared the remorse. And we wish her family the best. And it was, it was amazing getting to work with her. I mean, it really was truly an honor. But unfortunately, that's just one thing and, many things that have happened this week. But, wish everyone and her family the best. So with that, we're going to move on from there. If nobody else has any comments they want to share. Ethan just wants to say, rest in peace to Laura. You're an amazing final girl. I bet she had a good soul and a sweetness to her. Yeah, I mean, she was, like I said, she was really sweet. I'd never, I will say another funny thing about our scene. When our scene came up, I had been studying it all day. I don't know if I really went into this, but when I started working on 13 Fanboy, I only had about half the idea of the role I was supposed to be playing, because I thought I was just doing the stunt stuff and that I was just playing the role for somebody else, in Scream and stuff like that. It wasn't really Matthew Lillard and what's his face running around it was just a stunt guy that was doing it for the both of them. And the voice was just ADR later. And so I thought I was going to be ADR. So I just needed to learn certain lines while I was in scenes. And I found out that I was going to be playing an on-screen role that was also going to be the person who was killing people. So I had to learn this, it was another producer's name at the beginning of the script. And then it got turned into me. So not only was I memorizing the script as we were going, I was sort of doing it day by day, learning my scenes the day before, kind of figuring it out, reading in context where I was. And then I was getting ready for my scene with Lar. And when I got to the scene with Lar and I talked to her, I said, hey, I got this thing pretty locked down. Should we go over it? And she's like, oh, I rewrote it. So she rewrote her scene in the script that I was reading. So the script that I had was misdated. So she handed me her new script that she kind of wrote and kind of added her own and embellished in a few places. And it was really good. I mean, the scene came out great. And so I remember I had to I basically learned the lines during rehearsal while we were figuring out how to do the stab gag. And that was always, for me, it was a really cool experience because I just felt like I was thrown into the fire, and Lar was, the thing is, I don't think Laura and I messed up a take, and it's easy to kind of do it when you're under the mask. I had an ADR everything anyway, but it was really she just made me feel really comfortable. She had a very calming presence to her. She was very professional. And she hit her mark. She knew her lines. She was great. So, I'm very sad that, I won't ever get a chance to work with her again, but we'll, hopefully we'll see each other down the line in another place. But speaking of Friday the 13th, we actually got some Crystal Lake news this week. That's right. The Peacock streaming series showrunner Brad Caleb Kane posted this on his Instagram, which was, it seems like an innocent picture enough, a laptop with a Jason sticker, a notepad, and a script that says A24, and that was written by Brad Caleb Kane. A production draft 3/25/26. Well, that means that production drafts for Friday the 13th have been completed. Well, at least the first script. And they're getting ready for pre-production. And if you have been following Brad Caleb Kane on Instagram, you've been seeing that he has also been scouting in New Jersey. Now, I have to give a quick shout out. Actually, I got to give two quick shout outs real quick. One is Nasty Pieces, because he's the one who made this Crystal Lake logo, which I love. And I took it off of his poster and put it here so we could use it. So quick shout out to them. And then for Friday the 13th franchise.com for pointing this out. There is a casting call in New Jersey right now for a streaming series called Mama's Boy. Background talent needed for a 1970s themed streaming series. Job description: a new streaming series set in the 1970s is seeking background actors to help bring the decade to life on screen. Filming will take place in New Jersey from June through October 2025. Talent should have a natural, vintage-friendly looking era that reflects long hair, no visible tattoos, no modern hairstyles or piercings. This is a paid opportunity open to SAG-AFTRA and non-union talent. Background roles in the 1970s, maintain continuity with the time period, follow direction, yada, yada, yada. Be a good background agent. So what does this mean? Well, the validity of all of these things sort of coming together makes sense. Brad doing, scouting in New Jersey. Then you have this, and it makes you think of, and then going back to my experience when I was actually interviewing for the show last year, we were supposed to shoot from roughly July through November in Toronto before Brad left the project. So it's basically a year behind schedule. This would be a year to the date of what they were going to do. From what's been going on in the film world, New Jersey has actually been taking a step up. Netflix is building stages there. It's got a great tax incentive for filmmakers. And so they've probably lured Friday the 13th home. So it makes you wonder, are they going to film this at Nobi Bosco? And is that where Brad Caleb Kane's real big idea is to really bring this thing back to where it all started for real, which is, I think, something that fans have wanted since the first one. We've never gone back to the same camp twice. It's always gone on to a different location. So for them to return to the actual location of Nobi Bosco and working within that area is a pretty interesting concept. I don't know if they're actually going to film at the camp. There has been no, any evidence to say that they're going to be at the actual camp, but they were scouting in that area. The picture that Brad, I probably should have put it up here for you guys. But the picture that Brad that posted was of the cemetery gates where I believe they take, Annie walk is either a shot of Annie walking into town, or I think they drive by in the truck at one point over there as well. So very interesting indeed. So anybody who's worried about the Crystal Lake TV shows getting canceled, it doesn't feel like we're anywhere near them getting canceled or shut down. If they're in pre-production meetings, that means they're getting ready for production. And obviously, until it gets shot, until it gets released, you never know. I worked on a full season of Chad, the second season. We shot the whole season, and it took 3 years for it to come out because TBS canceled it before it even released season 2. And then I got dumped on Tubi like 3 years later. So nothing is ever guaranteed. But again, this sort of makes me, things seem to be moving in a direction that I think answers what I believe is what Friday the 13th creators should do. It's what have fans always wanted to see. Fans have wanted to see it return to Jersey and see it return to its roots and see it return to the East Coast. This is a good thing because we're not losing film production to Canada or Australia. Now, remember our good friend Sean Cunningham. I think we were on a Ghost Files Live too. Sean Cunningham posted about how Australia was going to have Friday the 13th from December to a certain thing. And I told everybody, I was like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like they'd be running away with that. It sounds like Sean's kind of talking out of his ass, and it sounds like he was. like I said, like there's no beef against Sean. It's just that he's not in the room anymore. So anything that he says is going to be hearsay. You have to wait for official updates like this. So if you want official updates, I would say, first of all, follow Brad Caleb Kane. He seems to be showing some stuff on these things that are pretty casual, and he does not have that. I think he has like 4,000 followers. So you're not going to be, you can, if you post something, he's going to like it. He's going to see it. And I would say if, fans want to, have any direct input in the show, not that he's going to take your ideas off the thing, but if you want to cheer them on, you want to follow what's going on, you follow him. Second tier for that, make sure you're following this channel below me. They're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on everything. But Jason Parker at Friday the 13th franchise.com is the go-to person for Friday the 13th news. I go to him for my scoops. I have my own people that I reach out to that I get scoopage from. But between me, Jason, and obviously following Brad, and we'll be following Brad, any updates on Crystal Lake, you're definitely going to find them here on the Ghost Files. When the shows start releasing, we're going to do nightly recaps of what we just watched, what we can anticipate moving forward, all of that fun stuff. But in the meantime, it is going to be a smorgasbord of first looks and production updates and release updates. If they follow this schedule, this was a question that came up the other day. If they're going to follow this schedule, well, when should we expect them to release? It depends, because streaming and TV act a little bit differently. This is Peacock, so they may adapt the NBC model, but it's Peacock, so they may take a little bit longer. My guess is the earliest it can come up, they start shooting in June. They'll shoot 2 weeks. It's usually, if it's a 48-minute, like 48-hour long episode, you're probably looking between 8 and 10 days of shooting, roughly. After those 8 to 10 days, you're going to get 6 weeks, 8 weeks of post. And so if that's in June, it's a possibility that if things go right, that by the time they're filming the final episodes, the first episodes will be showing on streaming, unless they plan on doing a binge watch versions, for which they'll have to shoot all the way through October, and we won't see the series until sometime in 2026, where there are 3 Friday the 13th to launch it on. So you could imagine that Friday the 13th of June, that might be a good time to kick off production, right? January Friday the 13th, or February Friday the 13th of 2026. That's probably a nice place to do a teaser. Maybe again in March, and then I believe it is September that the next one would be. So 3 big dates right there for them to hit. I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer to release Friday the 13th on for Friday the 13th when it comes up. So I wouldn't be surprised, although I would probably be in their best interest to fast track this as much as possible, because people are hungry for it. There's no new Halloween coming out. There's no new Texas Chainsaw. Like, I think they're talking about it, but nothing's really on the horizon for production. Friday the 13th finally has a chance to take center stage, which is amazing. Which is what a lot of Friday the 13th. I mean, now it's our turn. It's Friday the 13th fans' turn to stand in the sun and argue with each other and bullshit about certain things, like the next movie that I'm going to bring up. So just a reminder that as things go through, definitely check out here as more Friday the 13th updates come up. Let's see if we got any comments on this stuff. Davey Deathray is in the house. How you doing, buddy? I think you're kind of having a rough week, but we're all thinking about you. We love you, buddy. Jump on the chance, Vin. If you ever have the time, you have the look. Oh, what should I do? Oh, yeah, I should. I was actually thinking about seeing if I can do some background, but I'd rather work on it. Great Pantera song. I might have. There we go. That. Maybe Vinny should play a camp count. Oh, you kidding me, guys? I should play Jason. That's what I should play. We'll see who they're going to get it. So funny. I haven't been this excited since The Walking Dead. I stopped watching The Walking Dead after Andrew Lincoln left. Last show I was excited for was Bates Motel and The Prodigal Son and Hannibal. Too bad that we didn't have Brian Fuller still, huh? All right, Case, you have a good night. I can kind of see why there's not been any news of any new Halloween movie. Yeah, I know. They're kind of struggling. Ain't no sequel for Elm Street except for Dylan's New Nightmare. Yeah, and we're trying to work on that too. So yeah, like I said, guys, as more stuff comes up, where I'm going to be here talking about it. There's no debate about that. But if there's anything else that I am also excited about, it is bam. It's a new Predator movie. Yes. Very excited. Been anticipating this one for a long time. Prey was one of my favorite movies in the last 10 years. It's probably one of the best things. Maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but when I watched Prey, I happened to take psychedelic mushrooms, and that was the wildest 2 hours of my life. The predator, that feral predator, scared the shit out of me. And I was like at my brother's house, just sitting on a couch, just loving every second of that movie. Love the score, love the direction, love like the simple story, the character choices, the story choices. I love the predator himself. I like that it was a feral, sort of not as evolutionized version of it. And I went with it, and I loved everything about it. I didn't care that it was, I know some people are like, oh, it's woke, it's female. This is just a good story. It was well told. They didn't heavy hand anything. It just kind of really landed. And so they released a trailer this week. And it has obviously some beautiful cinematography. We got him looking like Scorpion up in this top photo. We got Ellie Fanning, which, you guys have probably heard by now. She is a Weyland-Yutani synthetic. And then we got this badass dude down here with the white dreads walking around with this half lightsaber sword. From what I understand, IGN did a little bit of digging and did an interview with Danny Trachtenberg. I also did a little bit of digging. I know some people working on the movie. This character is a young adolescent, the runt of his group. His name is Dek, D-E-K. And he is on the run because he is somehow fell out of favor with his family. He hasn't proven himself. And so he's on a world. I can't remember the name of the world, but it's like Deadly World is what it comes to. And it's just a place where he's going to prove himself as a predator to his clan. Now, the trailer also had shots of other militant groups sort of moving in session. Obviously, this predator down the bottom here has a group that follows him, much like in Predator 2, the group of like elders that show up at the end to give Donald Glover the gun. So this is going to be interesting. I'm a huge Predator fan. I've said that on the channel before. That's no secret. And this is something fans have wanted to see on the screen for a long time. Dark Horse Comics for years has been, telling Predator-centric stories. We obviously have speech bubbles and we can read what they're saying and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, like, I am ready for a straight, like, Kurosawa-style Predator movie where everything is subtitled, everything they say is subtitled. And if, Ellie Fanning speaks English, that's fine. But everything these Predators say better be the Predator language, and it better be subtitled, and just keep it authentic. If these things speak English and this becomes like a real Disney movie, that's really going to suck. But of course, with all things internet and all things new and all things Disney, there is some discourse about this movie that has people really, in classic, modern times, picking either this is going to be the best thing or this is going to be the worst thing. And the source of that is, I would say, this shot right here. This is our first good look at Dek, like a nice close up of him. We see him as not a predator that we've seen before. And it was so funny. Let me take a sip of this real quick. Now, I got to say, I agree in the fact that this is not my favorite Predator look. There are things about it that I like. There are things about it that I don't like. And I can tell you the thing that I don't like about it is that it's the dreads. It's the dreads are in the opposite place of where they are on every other Predator design I've ever loved. And it was just sort of, it's off-putting to see them that way because the heads usually aren't weighed that way. So seeing it like this is a little odd. Seeing the side of the head like this is a little odd. But I know why they did this. They did this because they wanted him to feel like a good guy. They wanted to smooth out the rough edges. And I'm going to get into some other design elements here in a little bit. Basically kind of softening his face a little bit, still giving him an intensity, as you can see in this screen here, which is all CG. This is an entire CG head, it seems, which is a little bit of a that's my other sort of thing with it. It's like, it's a fine model, it's fine animation, but it's definitely CG. And I wish it was a real head, because the real heads are so cool and they are so articulated and well done. And they worked in all the other movies. I don't understand why you'd stop using them now, but at the same time, you know, CG and animation technology is a little bit more streamlined and they can make this look good. This is probably close to final. The thing I would say I like the most about this Predator design, that I think they got the most right, are those eyes. The sunken eyes, you just see the yellow cornea around it. He looks like Reagan from The Exorcist. So there's like this sense of evil in the eyes that's still there. The mandibles look pretty good, but like I said, the real oddness is just that there's no dreads on the side of the head. So it's just really, really weird, because let's, look at this. This is our typical Predator. Usually they have, like, it's funny because they look like David Townsend from Strapping Young Lad, where they have like the massive, or like Red from That 70s Show, where they look like they're just balding on top and they have the horseshoe haircut. And it's funny to think like the Predators with like the balding horseshoe haircut look are more intimidating than our boy Deck over here, who's basically got like a top knot. Now, top knot is one of the top tier Dark Horse characters. This isn't quite top knot here, but there's, you can see where there's a little bit of an influence. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things where you got Stan Winston here, just really knocking it out of the park with this design. It's just never, so here's some of the differences you can see. So in here, we can see that the brow in the Jungle Predator is a little bit more furrowed. Here we obviously can get the furrowed brow, but it has a neutral look. There happens to be sort of a sympathetic look to him. Here, these Predators, the way their heads are shaped, everything about them is dangerous and deadly. Down here to the right is actually City Predator. So as another reference of just like, as they went into the second movie, he continued to evolve. We have those, the dreads coming out the side just look so good. And so to go to the top, it's just going to have to take some time to grow on me. I think obviously the character will be interesting. Doing cool things will definitely settle that. Obviously, Feral Predator wasn't, our typical Predator garb either. And he sort of like, he fit into the world and it made sense. I think one of the reasons why they chose this look is, if I read the credits correctly, I believe the actor who's playing this Predator is Polynesian, or South Asian Pacific. So he's got a little bit of a Polynesian feel. And obviously, I always forget the name of the actual, like the Yakuja or whatever it is. Obviously there's multiple races. We've learned lots of things throughout the different movies about the way that they, do DNA testing and they do DNA splicing, and they're constantly looking for ways to evolve and become better predators and better fighters and all of this stuff. I just hope they know what they're doing. I hope this film does really, really well. I'm glad that it's going to the theater, and I really hope, and I think that fans should really push for this as we get closer to this, is that they should put Prey in the theater before Predator Badlands comes out, or they should do double screenings of Prey and Badlands, and you can guarantee that I will be there. And somebody should just start hosting Predator. If we got it for Friday the 13th marathon, somebody's got to host a Predator marathon. That would be totally, totally cool. So with all that said, we're going to hop into the comments. We're going to see what people feel about the Predator. Let's go back here. You missed my question about Lar Park Lincoln. Did you ever want her involved in Never Hike Alone? Funny, not funny. Were you tasting purple? Oh, that's funny. No, I never had any inkling to get Lar in there. I didn't want to go into the telekinetic world. I also don't like to touch other people's fan films, unlike some other groups who will happily take my actors to ruin their own things. But never really wanted to pull Lar into Never Hike Alone. We did make reference to her in our history. Tina had passed away at some point. Like, something had happened to Tina the powers kind of got too crazy and she kind of disappeared. We sort of wrote her out. So no, she was never in there. Let me see. Prey was really good. Badlands looks like it's really cooking. Loving that. I'm more excited for Predator this year too. 2 Predator movies in the same year. That's right. They're doing the animated one too, which is going to be really great. Let me see. You can taste purple, Allie. No, I couldn't taste the. I hate the taste of mushrooms. They taste so bad. But this was like a chocolate thing. It was really nice. For a second, I thought it was Noob Sabat from the trailer for Mortal Kombat 2. Yes, I was thinking the same thing. That was the guy I was trying to think of. Also, the 2 cyborgs. It also looks like the 2 cyborgs as well. Let me see. I still haven't watched Satan Little Helper on Blu-ray because I know it won't live up to my first watch when it came out. That's funny. This is a badass looking guy with the white hair. Kind of looks like Null from yeah, let's go back to that. Bam. Let's go back to the better photos. Yeah, so apparently that's his dad. That's the Predator's dad. So that's the leader of the clan, and that's the person he's trying to dad. Oh, it's kind of funny. Hey, it's a Disney movie, daddy issues. If you like, we always had a joke in animation how like 90% of like the writing that was going on was always about daddy issues. They prefer artificial person. Well, yes, synthetic. I hope Dex speaks English. Nah, man, it's gonna be so weird to watch them speak English. But the Predators get ugly and uglier. You're one ugly son of a bitch. The shot of the dude crawling with the cut off arm and the dude tracking with the sword, sick. Yep. Yeah, that thing is looking pretty derpy. Davey Deathray shitting all over it. That looks a little off. Love the eyes. Sad bastard Predator. That's funny. Kind of looks like Jeepers Creepers without the hat. That's a pretty good reference. Deck don't have the usual Predator clacking or roar sound. Yeah, I think it's because he's a runt. I also think he hasn't earned his markings yet, so that's another reason why he looks the way he does. Who's your hairdresser? Oh, I'm doing this all myself, baby. Not to defend Dizzy, but the Yakuza can fix his hair however he wants, right? I mean, in the comics, I've also seen bald Predators for him. Yeah, no, I've just never seen one in live action before, and I think that's what a lot of people are reacting to. Should they go down the full hate train? I'm not sure that is that's necessary at all, but it's definitely what is. Hang on a second, guys. I don't know why my phone won't. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I understand. Let me back this up again. Predators can look however they want. It's just this is the first time we've seen it this way, so I think a lot of people are acting negatively to it. And because the internet is the way the internet is, anytime there's an excuse to shit on something, they're going to come hard at it. I did jokingly text some of my friends who are working on it. I was like, "Is there time to Sonic the Hedgehog this Predator? Or are you guys basically stuck on this design?" And you know what? Not everybody, even behind the scenes, loves the look. So his face looks much less like a crab than the original. Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like and this happens, you know, in the character design process, they're gonna go, we need to make the Predator more likable. So less spikes, less things that make him look scary, things that make him look more accessible. So it's a little yeah, there he is. Demetrius Schuster Kalamatangi. So that sounds pretty Polynesian Pacific Islander to me. And if you know, that haircut would work a heck of a lot better if there were some horns or ridges to frame it, so to speak. Yeah, no, that's the same thing. I mean, they're pulling away a lot of the things that, let's pull this back. No, I mean, there are no horns here. You know what I mean? Like, look at that. Like, no horns, no spikes, nothing coming out of the head. It just looks like a toe. Like, doesn't his head look like a toe? You know, it's toe shaped. It's just like a big toe. You know, without the side dreads, it's just this weird, like the cone head, like just a weird, you know, it's just an oddly shaped head. He actually looks like an octopus. He's got an octopus squid look like a little bit. So there definitely is that. Let me see. You guys are killing it with the comments. Practical effects always looks much better than CGI. CGI can be good if it's used to enhance the practical effects, but CGI looks really good on its own. That would be a good question for this. Is this a head that is sort of sitting there and it's half built and they're adding things to it, or is it fully CGI? That'd be a good question. Isn't there a Halloween TV series in the works now that Miramax won the rights in early 2024? Yes, but I don't think they're anywhere as close to ready as Crystal Lake is. I mean, obviously, no showrunner's been announced, nothing's been announced for that, but they are working on something. But right now, Friday the 13th really has like a grip on it, and like it's just going to be nice for them to sort of have like some time just to be in the sun. Alien versus Predator Extinction was great with the Alien versus Predators were okay. There were some cool different looks in those. Alien, the Requiem was really cool. There was some good stuff in that one. They do in the human leaning face shape. Didn't need to be more articulating CG. Animatronic mask is plenty. Don't fix what ain't broke. Hey, and this is coming from a VFX artist. Predator Hunting Grounds is a fun game for what it is. I remember I played it a lot when it first came out, and it sort of fell off. It would be nice to have an animated movie of Friday the 13th that told the origins better than what they could do in the Crystal Lake series. I want to know what happened in the lake when Jason died. Speaking of that, I got rid of all my stuff, didn't I? I did. Well, Ghost in the Fog is a good way for us to get the animated train rolling. So when we get the next campaign up and running, we'll hopefully you get the ball rolling on that. We could create those. We have some stuff like that we can definitely get into. And no weird books, please. I don't know what that references to, but you guys can help me with that, Leia. Deck with a Yakuza accent like the Predator 2018 film. Yeah. It's always nice to feel the excitement when I hear about new movies in a series. I'm so tired of soulless cash grabs. Really looking forward to the new Predator movie. And I would say Trachtenberg has a good role. I also heard that a Predator is going to have a role in the next Alien Romulus movie. So they're inching their way towards a new Alien versus Predator, which is going to be good. Yeah, I told my buddy, I hope they ugly Sonic this before they release. Apart from the classic mount, this Yakuza looks a lot like Jem Hadar from Star Trek. Yep. Nailed it with the squid. Definitely some Cephalod stuff going on. And I think it's just the face that's CGI. The head, I believe, is actually there. It could be. I'd love to see some stuff. Is there a rumor that a xenomorph will be in it? It's the other way around. The rumor is that a Yakuza will be in the next Alien movie. Like a Steve Odenkirk parody. Alien versus Predator Extinction was a real-time strategy game, and it was on Yes, I actually played that game. That one was really, really good. I remember when that was on PC. I used to do that. Jar Jar Binks, distant cousin. Yeah. So here's the thing. I've seen some people. Here, let's go back to another non-baity thing. We'll go back just to this to kind of close this out. Predator Badlands looks great. I think if Prey taught us anything, it's definitely worth looking into. I will say that the only word of warning that I got out of the people that I know was that because they were developing two Predator projects at the same time, resources were a little stretched thin. So maybe they weren't as on top of it as maybe they should have been. It's something we might find out when the movie comes out. I heard the animated stuff is really, really good. And I heard that Badlands right now is looking okay, but they're still working on it. And it will be in theaters November 7th. So they have quite a little while to keep working and tweaking it. And hopefully they can get that all figured out. Because I'm definitely looking forward. I want more and more and more and more Predator stuff. I want more and more and more and more Friday the 13th stuff. Obviously, new stuff coming out is great. I haven't even touched about, Sinners coming out this week. I didn't see it yet. I also haven't seen Companion yet. There's a lot of new stuff I really got to go support, and I haven't had a chance to because it's just been that year. Vinny, I just set the water slide up. You coming over? Hell yeah. What kind? You got remember Slip and Slide? What was the other one? Like Gator Alley? Alligator Alley or something like that. That was my favorite one where you dove into the mouth. That game was based off the arcade game. Predator Concrete Jungle was a cool game. It just had the 20th anniversary. Still hoping for a third AVP film. Well, they're going to be coming out. They're definitely working towards that. It sounds like it's a long-term thing. And you have Fede Alvarez and Danny Trachtenberg both saying that they want to do it, and they're friends in real life. So that's really, really cool. So we've just hit the 50-minute mark. And each week, like I said last week, I sort of want to start previewing things that are coming down the Womp Stomp Films pipeline and reward everybody who, we got 36, 37 people hanging out right now. I got to start. You know what, guys? one of the things, I'm going to say this is coming up before I go into the next part, is that I'm going to keep working on this channel over the next couple of months and years. And so I was talking to Bruce about possibly doing a Patreon, doing some members only stuff and maybe doing some more private stuff so we can sit down and you guys can ask me like a little bit more personal questions or something like that. Or we can kind of figure that out how it goes. I got to figure out how to set that all up first. But that just reminded me. So that is going to happen. We just need a rated R bloody RotoCop versus Terminator film. I was thinking about it really wouldn't be that hard to do a Terminator fan film. I feel like that's a very attainable type of fan film. Tyler, if you could help me out with some like zapping into this world, I think we could do some cool Terminator stuff if I get all yoked out. I get some people to help me out with that. We're going to have to make that happen. But before we do that, we do have some updates about my personal favorite project that's going to be coming down the pipe, Ghost Chicken. So as I mentioned previously on Ghost Files, this spring coming up, we have Ghost in the Fog running our Kickstarter Indiegogo campaign for that. Shortly after Ghost in the Fog launches, about 2.5 weeks after that, we're going to be launching the Slay feature film, which is directed by Kira Gardner. It has a bunch of people starring in it that we're going to, release more information about that as we get closer to that date. This is a film that's already been shot, and it is going to be going into post-production. We're going to get a little bit more into that as we get closer to that campaign, which will be running on Kickstarter. And then following that campaign on Kickstarter is going to be Ghost Chicken. Now, I've talked about Ghost Chicken before. I think I've even shown a preview of Ghost Chicken when I showed a preview of Ghost in the Fog around Christmas time last year. And obviously, Ghost Chicken has been a project that I've been championing since 2019. I wrote the script shortly after going to the Nightmares Film Festival. I came back. I put it into a bunch of festivals. It won a few awards. It's meant to be an animated short film, but it's an expensive animated short film, even though it all takes place at one location. And trying to find money for it and trying to find the time to crowdfund for it has not been very easy, but I was inspired to move to the graphic novel route through my good friend Scott Allen Gregory, or Ethan Scott Gregory, who did Rip to Shreds. And when I said, hey man, like, how do you build one of these things? He kind of took me through the process and I fell in love with it. And he started hooking me up with some artists who are going to help me out with Ghost Chicken. So the idea is that the first thing we're going to do is a graphic novel that will launch on Kickstarter, which will have a goal as low as $5,000 to $6,000. And that will give us a soft cover, a hard cover, maybe some little chickens and all that stuff. But we have had some stuff that worked on. So I want to give you guys a preview of the work in progress cover of the graphic novel, which is right here, which is done by an artist named Sam. We're still working on the logo. So this is just a temporary logo, but this is the first introduction to it. This will be the cover of the graphic novel. The graphic novel will be in color. Just the cover is in black and white just because we wanted that two-tone thing. It was actually based on an old logo that I used to have. But obviously when you put it in the hands of real artists who do this all the time, they just knock it out of the park. So I'm really, really happy with this. I've also been getting some characters in, and I have the three main characters. We have Charles, the owner of Vegan Eden. We have Lexi, the girl who's looking for the ghost chicken, and we have a little preview here of the chicken itself. Now, I obviously should have pitched you the premise of it, but Ghost Chicken is the story of a vegan restaurant that's haunted by the ghost of a chicken and the one girl who's determined to figure out why. Lexi is the girl trying to figure out why. Charles is the owner living in denial, and the chicken is the chicken and has a mind of its own. It leads Lexi on this crazy adventure, which leads to her discovering something that she never thought that she would discover. And it's a fun little adventure that I would love to get animated one day. But in the meantime, I am just falling in love with the process of graphic novels. I think it's going to become a staple of the Womp Stomp Films library in the coming years. We have films like The Beginning of the End, 86, The Last Astronaut, all these projects that I've been developing over the years that are big. Some of them, like Last Astronaut's like a $50 million animated movie. The Beginning of the End is a $10 to $20 million zombie movie. 86 is like $100 million zombie Western. And so it's all these big ideas that I can't make as an independent filmmaker, but what I can do is make them as independent graphic novel publicists. And so I've written all of these scripts and they're all ready to go. And with the help of the guys at Apostrophe Books, Ethan Scott Gregory and everybody over there, we're going to start to put together teams to bring some of the Womp Stomp films that we eventually want to bring to the big screen to life through graphic novels, while we're focusing on short films that we can raise $50,000 for to go and shoot and things like that. So, and probably sometime around late July, early August, we're going to launch Ghost Chicken. That campaign will run for a month. That will be on Kickstarter, 30 days to get to $5,000. We want to sell as many of these books as possible, get them out into the world. And then what's nice is at the end of that campaign, we're still going to own Ghost Chicken, and we'll be able to say what we want to do with it. So with the last few minutes that I have today, let's get into some comments to see what you guys think about Ghost Chicken. Ghost Files t-shirt. Wow. Ghost Files t-shirt. That sounds like a good idea. I think I should have somebody work on that. RoboCop, your move, creep. Definitely need RoboCop stuff. I want a Ghost Chicken shirt. Those will be available on the campaign for sure. All killed and eaten chickens come back for revenge. Who will save us? Ghost Files t-shirt. Thank you for the like on my post today on Instagram. Oh, of course. I've eaten so much chicken this week, I'm going to turn into a chicken. That's funny. Sexy cover. Thank you. Beautiful cover. Thank you. Look at Bruce coming in. Thanks for everything you do and have done. Keep the horror alive. Thank you, Bruce. I really appreciate that. Scarecrow's Night. What's up, brother? I was curious if you've ever considered doing a sequel to Jason X. That was my introduction to the Friday the 13th franchise. Yes. I would love to do Jason X 2. The premise would be Jason lands in the lake at the end of Jason X 1. The radiation from him and Dokes coming in from space and crashing into the lake creates radiation over the lake. So the authorities come out, they release nanobots into the lake to fix the lake of all the radiation. They end up discovering Jason's body, what's left of Jason's body. They rebuild him into a complete 100% Uber Jason again. And then you have Uber Jason on the loose on Earth 2 as the crew from Solaris finally lands on Earth 2 and they have to deal with Jason all over again. So there's my Jason X2 pitch. Would love to make that one day. Ghost Chicken looks interesting. Thank you so very much. Just once, I'd like someone in a zombie movie to be dressed in motorcycle gear. Why doesn't anyone protect themselves from the bites? Human teeth aren't that sharp. It's a good thing. Have you seen Sinners yet, Vinny? I have not seen it. Does anyone feel like watching Friday the 13th in memory of Laura? I'm just planning to do after the stream. I was going to say that's a pretty good reminder. Tonight's a good night to put on Friday the 13th part 7 and give it a good watch. Give it a watch for her, give it a watch for John, give it a watch for everybody who's involved. I'm sure all of her co-stars and everybody are definitely missing her today. Got my stuff today. The red Ghost Jason shirt looks pretty cool. That's awesome. Glad that stuff's landed. Terminator CG Legacy. I would terminate to be involved. Cool cover art. I want to do a Jason X prequel where he's captured at the end of the movie. That's a good one. Any news on the video game? May 21st for Ghost in the Fog. Yeah, we're looking maybe like May 15th for Ghost in the Fog. I'm going to early next week, I'm going to sit down and get the pre-launch ready, and then I'll get everything else ready to go. Sick idea. Thanks, bro. Hey, anytime. Appreciate it. Sinners is fantastic. Yeah, I hear Sinners is fantastic. So I may make some time next week. I've just been so busy getting ready for the con, getting all these other things going. Definitely going to check that out. I got to actually give my cousin a call because, he wants to go see more horror movies. So I try to bring him out and get him all, get his horror fix so he can get a break from his kids. Not a break, but, he's got to go out and watch films for himself too. Will do, Eric. Will do. Let's see. 3 straight weeks of the Ghost Files. Let me see. Next week on Ghost Files, I do believe that there will be 3 straight weeks of Ghost Files. I have no trips upcoming planned. I have no events coming up that are planned. I definitely want to check. I don't know if Ronnie and Josh are still watching. And I got to talk to Davey Deathray too. I know we all kind of podcast on Friday nights, so I want to make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes. I've been pushing till about 9 p.m. out here just because I think everybody else has kind of been working. on the other hours. So we should probably figure out when we want to continue to stream, and maybe there's a way that, if it's, all the good names are taking goes into Davey, goes into me, or all the good names are taking goes into me, goes into Davey. Since Davey's on the West Coast, he can be like the late night, like with Craig Ferguson. We can figure something out with you guys. We got a quick thing from Chuck Phelps, just jumping in real quick to say, go Womp Stomp. We'll catch up on the recording later. Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, definitely. You can watch all the Ghost Files back 1 through 43. They're all streaming on the channel, even the pre-recorded special that's on the Final Cut Blue, or not the Final Cut, the Ghost Cut Blu-ray, which will answer questions like, where did Ghost Jason come from? Where does Never Hike Alone line up in the Friday the 13th, TV series? How do fan films work? That's our first episode of the Ghost Files. I definitely need to record more like that. They're a little bit more official, not so off the cuff like this one here. It's so funny. You got it. You got the reference. Yeah, and honestly, guys, like I'll sort of bring it back around town on this. Let me get my assets back to the start. We'll go here. We will go here. Yeah, I mean, just to kind of give you guys an update on the channel. Honestly, you guys have been kicking ass. You guys have been supporting the channel so much. These little streams, they make a decent amount that have been helping, the overall funding. The people have been watching all the films. The films all have ads running on them now. So the channel is actually generating an income that is helping us do bigger and better things. We're putting this money aside. Some of it is helping us with some of the extra costs like shipping and things like that. So we've been kind of putting that money to the side for that. But our plan is to continue growing this channel, to continue posting short films here, not just Friday the 13th fan films, but original short films, other fan films that we make with other collaborators. Like I said last week, we're working on something very special with Cortland Gordon and his team from Honest to the Odd, and PG, the Twitch streamer. Something really cool coming out of that camp that will be shared to the channel. I'm working on some stuff like Casey Dwayne Alexander, kind of poked at a little bit before. No Problemo will be coming up. We'll be talking about that a little bit more next week once I have a little bit more information on that, on who may be starring in it, when that may be filming. We have Ghost in the Fog coming up. We have Slay coming up. Slay's going to the theater, so I can't take that on YouTube, but Ghost Chicken will be out there at some point. We have The Bonding, which is coming down the line. We still have the EMF project, and lots of other things that we've been working here. New projects that we come up with every day. There's a couple funny ones that I've been pitching to people around here. We're just really starting to get the creative juices around here in Southern New England flowing. There's lots of people doing really great things in our area in South Coast, Massachusetts. So I will say again, if you want to be involved, you can email me at wompstompfilms@gmail.com. If you want to be a producer, we're taking on producers and we're working off the Indiegogo. So that way 100% of your donation or your investment into our films go into the film instead of 9% going to Kickstarter or Indiegogo. We want to start doing some films like that. So we're looking for backers in that type of sense. Or if you are a film professional, if you're a grip, if you're a key makeup artist, if you're an actor, if you're, anything, you email me at wompstompfilms@gmail.com, include your resume, include a reel, include some of the stuff you've worked on. I will add your name to our contact list. We will reach out to you when we launch new projects, and we want to build a team of people who are passionate and who are ready to show up and do good work. Oh yeah, let's talk about something real quick. I didn't back Gotham Noir. Not going to see it. Let me see. Did anyone else say anything about Gotham Noir that I may have missed? But that is something that actually popped up this week, and you bring it up, Tyler, because I'm still a connected producer on that project. I should just say this, so there's something on the record. I did catch wind earlier this week about the discourse with Gotham Noir. About, I don't know, was it a year ago? Was it something like that? Obviously we tried to help Gotham Noir run an Indiegogo last year sometime. And, I have to say, the original script I read, Cosplay Chris being involved, Davey Deathray got me kind of pulled into it and sort of was the one who looped me in. It was sort of everyone get together and just see what we can do as a group. The Indiegogo didn't go how we all wanted, and there was no bad blood from that. I mean, it's just sometimes Indiegogos don't work out. And our original plan to release some of the teaser imagery, like the bat suit and some of the early test footage didn't get done sort of in time. So they were really fighting a hard fight towards the end of their campaign. They didn't necessarily do anything wrong. It's just that's what happens sometimes. You have to learn and you have to move on. Shortly after that, for those of you familiar with the project and familiar with Cosplay Chris, he the demands of the project, because it wasn't going to be done on a certain timeline, because they didn't have the budget to move forward with certain things, and just because of some of the behind the scenes stuff that was going on that I won't get into, he decided that it was in his best interest to step away because of the amount of stress that it was causing in his life. And so when he stepped away, I was also at a point where there was a window that I could really help them. And then that window was closing because I was moving on to other projects and trying to finish Never Hike Alone 2 and sort of having to finish what I started. And I didn't know what their plans were to do next. They were sort of in the middle of planning it. And at that point, that was probably the last time I ever gave them any sort of producing advice, or had been involved with the project at all. It wasn't that I didn't want to be involved with the project. I was sort of there, like, I'm here when you need me, but I'm also not going to come knocking down your door to figure out what's going on. I just trust that they're all a bunch of smart people over there. They'll get stuff done. And to that point, I was very happy when I looked up and I saw, oh my God, the guys in Gotham Noir, or the team in Gotham Noir, have an hour and 48-minute movie out of, I think, of a 68-page or a 60-page script, which means that they must have worked on it a ton. They found the new Batman, they pulled everything together, they were able to cut it together and get it all finished. They had a big screening premiere in Sydney, and I was like, good for them. Like, it's a bummer I couldn't help them out, but I'm glad, we, in our final chat that we had, I literally said to them, I'm like, this is the low point now, but you're going to look back on this when you get to the theater and you're actually showing it and realize it was just a step along the way and you did it. And so they got there. Unfortunately, there seems to be some type of discourse between their new Batman, and I don't know his name. I'm sorry, I wasn't there when they hired him, and the team about holding the film from being shown to Indiegogo backers because the main star never signed a release for his image to get the film out. Now, these are fan films, and I get that people are really passionate about the things that they bring to films, and on both sides, the actor who wants to protect their image and their likeness and their performance, and the filmmakers who went through all this process. And I know they went through a lot of stress to get this film made. How is this being handled right now? Probably not the best. I wouldn't recommend putting emails that are sent between people, or any private conversation, or any DMs. I find anytime someone dives into a DM and starts putting that online for other people to see, that's a dirty move. Things are said in private conversations, things are said in back to forth that are just sort of heat of the moment, spur of the moment. When you're in person and you're talking, you can take things back, you can work your way back from things, but when things are written down, it makes it seem like it's set in stone. So I can't say one thing or another. I do know that there were issues on set. I do know that there were other people jumping in and complaining from the set. It seems to be like there's discourse going all around. The only thing I will say about it is that I'm just sad for everyone involved, for the fact that they can't celebrate the fact that they got this film to the finish line, that at one point it looked like it probably wasn't even going to be made, and they made it this far. Fan films are not luxurious projects. Sometimes you don't have the right resources on set. I read one thing about how they didn't have water one day. Sometimes that happens. You're running around a million different places. Somebody forgot to get water. Instead of complaining about it, no matter where you want the thing, you could be like, hey, there's no water here. Can I help? Can I go and run to the store real quick and get some water for people? Can I, give me a petty card, or can you pay me back, doing all this stuff? It's all about the attitude that everyone takes. And so there's a little bit of tit for tat going back. Yes, people did things wrong. Things should have been handled differently. I just hope that team can get it together, because at the end of the day, if their film was funded by Indiegogo backers, those Indiegogo backers deserve to see the film. And that's more important than anyone who is a star in the movie, or even anyone who's a director or a producer in the movie. There is no one who's more powerful than the people who gave you the money to make the movie in the first place. So do not punish them. If it doesn't come on YouTube, that's up to you guys. You figure that out down the line, but you make sure you take care of your Indiegogo backers, especially if Womp Stomp Films is still credited as a co-producer on this thing. That's the only thing I'll ever ask, is that at the end of the day, never screw over the people who supported you. That is the worst thing you could ever do. find a way to make it work. And I hope you guys do. I wish the best of luck to everybody on that project. I'm sorry to see it go this way, but Tyler, I'm glad you brought that up just because it was worth talking about. Obviously, you can take this down in a second. Let's see if there are any comments before I get slipping out of here tonight, because I have to get up early. Oh, no, they wrapped production a while ago. They debuted the film in Sydney a few weeks ago. Yeah, and it looks pretty cool. It looks like they did a good job. I mean, they did a good job on the Uncharted movie that they did as well. Those posts are putting the movie in a negative light, pretty much shitting the bed. Yeah, and that's the problem. And I've seen people, and listen, I've done it myself. I've said things online that I've seen people be like, I'm going to unfollow you now because I've talked about other fan films, or I've, talked about other filmmakers and things like that. Obviously I got in huge trouble for the Terrifier stuff. I got in huge trouble for Vengeance and Roseblood stuff. And, it all goes back and forth. It's like, sometimes we forget because we have these personal relationships with people behind the scenes, and we talk to people as we do in real life. I mean, nobody's like, obviously, like, here I am online and I'm talking to you guys, and I, I'm basically like this in real life. But if we're in a heated conversation, like, stuff gets said, and we've all say things, and it's kind of funny how people get like all uppity when all of a sudden you're in a fight and somebody says something mean, and you're like, oh my God, you're surprised. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, it's just, it's best just to stay out of those situations, especially keep those conversations behind the scenes. Don't drag it out into the public. Nobody wants to see it, and nobody wants to pick a side. Everybody, that's the one thing I've noticed, and for better or worse, nobody in this world wants to pick a side. Like, the minute you have to pick between like your two favorite, streamers, or you need to pick between your two favorite, you like them both, but they hate each other, and all of a sudden you have to feel like you have to pick one. It just doesn't put people in any type of good situation. You just got to let people enjoy it for what it is. And if you have problems, working them out behind the scenes as best you can. I was pulled in way early as we wrapped Uncharted. I made promo renders for the campaign, and they had me listed on the crew for the campaign. They didn't use me in the film. Stunt guy took my spot. That's funny. Being an adult, see both sides of the story. That's the only way you can do it. No from IHOP. That's so funny. Boop, boop, boop. I think that's about it. Yeah, guys. So I think that's going to do it for me this week. Let me see if I can do this with a little background music this week. We're going to try this. We'll do this little intro with that. We're going to pull this down. Everybody who watched tonight, everybody who watched and subscribed and liked this video. If you haven't done it yet, again, like the video. Let's start spreading it around. To those of you who donated to the cause tonight, Hank Merlin, Bruce Johnson, Scarecrows of the Night, Chuck Phelps, thank you. Really, really appreciate it, your support there. For helping out the channel. Everyone else who's watching, Alley Girl for showing up every week. There's everybody. Eric Resolute Blood, Steve, Davey Deathray, everybody, you're great. I'm so glad that we'll get to do this. Hopefully we'll get to do this again next week. I'll try to prep some more preview stuff. Maybe we'll get some new artwork in. Maybe next week we can focus on doing a soft launch of the Ghost in the Fog Indiegogo campaign. We can do a quick little preview of everything that you'll see on the page. That seems like a pretty good goal. I think I can get that done by Friday. So anyway, everybody, you have a lovely weekend. And until next time, I will see you all on the trails. See ya and stay safe.